Okay. Is this thing going to come? And we're live. And Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Sorry we are late. Walter's just making up some hors d'oeuvres and things. It's been an interesting afternoon for me, and it's been an interesting week for us as well. And one of the reasons why we're having this tonight, Saturday night special, and we'll talk a little bit here about the kind of week we've had and what's been going on and everything, but I need some of this right now. It is champagne. And so far, we have 4 people, but I can only see Andy at the moment. So, hello, you other 3 people. Reveal yourself to us, please. Don't be shy. We don't mind lurkers, but it's more fun when we have actual conversations with people. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit, well, I'll tell you what, yeah, nice hands, Walter's hand. Those hors d'oeuvres ready yet? No.
Yeah, give me a sec.
I'm hungry. So what are we having for dinner tonight?
Steak.
Oh, in the sous vide
Yeah.
with what?
Well, I don't know yet.
We still have rice left over. Of course,
Yeah,
we still
well,
have that chicken tikka masala you made last night.
I can still smell it.
Yeah, I know. Geez, you think we were in India. But anyways, so far there's 5 people here now, but still only Andy who has spoken. Come on, people, say hi. Just say hi. Promise we don't bite much. Okay, well, while Walter's watching the toaster oven on hors d'oeuvres, I guess I'll just start. So, what was today all about? Well, I had my embroidery class. Actually, I was supposed to be living there today, pretty much, because we had one class left in the embroidery class series 1. They call it Boot Camp 1. And the reason we were having it on Saturday morning, which was not our usual time, was because of some other events in the store.
Saturday morning.
What's that? Did I say Sunday morning?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what part of that didn't I
All right,
understand?
No, that's fine.
All right. So, yeah, on Saturday morning. We normally had it Saturday afternoon at 1:30. Oh, here we go. Hi, Mel. Hi, Phyllis. And, yeah, she had a special person come in from Janome, because she's an official Janome dealer. And he was coming in to show people how to alter clothing and things like that. And it was a big event because this guy's a bit of a celebrity, I guess. Don't ask me what his name was. It Ron Collins?
Ron Collins. It's
Name?
easy to remember.
Okay, it's Ron Collins, kind of like the drink. No, that's a Tom Collins. But whatever.
Actually, there is a Ron Collins drink.
There is a Ron Collins drink?
Yeah, it's a Tom Collins was made with rum.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I don't know if I've even ever had a Tom Collins, but I digress. So, now I'm right off the track. Another drink. Anyways, long story short, she had to do some juggling of schedules, and we were supposed to have the last class of the first series in the morning, and we were starting the second series in the afternoon. The other day, she called and said she had double booked or something on that in her scheduling. I don't know what, so we didn't have that last class in the morning. So I assumed there was another class because we'd heard there was a class being added for something else in there, and she'll make it up to us at some point anyway, so I'm not that concerned about it. And in some ways, I was kind of happy it didn't happen because, as you'll find out as we go through today's live, what kind of week we've had. Now, what are you doing?
I burnt my hand.
Oh, bad?
No.
Good, then be quiet. So I went there expecting that, I thought, I usually go early, and I did go early, and I get there about 35 minutes before the class is supposed to start, and there's all these people with their machines there, all getting set up. And so I said to one of the people that work in the store, I said, is this the class that's just finishing up, or is this my class I'm coming into? She says, oh no, this is your class. I went, holy crap. Now, it's an embroidery class. Embroidery machines are big. You've heard me talk about my machine, which is pretty much one of the biggest. Well, there were 3 of us with machines the same as mine, there was another guy there who had a brother Innovus, which is a big machine as well. And the other embroidery machines, although not quite as big as what I have, were still big. That classroom, on a good day, can hardly handle 8 people with the
Yeah, I
machines.
know.
There were 9 of us.
Wow.
It was mayhem and chaos because the classroom is very tiny and everybody is trying to get set up, and you have to position the embroidery machines in such a way because they have arms on them, so your arms don't connect, especially on the one like I have, because my arm, what are you doing? Looks like you're picking your ass.
I'm adjusting the chair.
Is that it? All right, well, fine. Are you on your stool now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, can I push in your stool?
No.
Oh, fine. Never mind then. That's an inside joke. Ooh, that was a pun too. Never mind. So anyways, it was mayhem and chaos, and then we were doing a fairly complicated thing, because this is the second part of all these embroidery classes. I didn't get it done, neither did anybody else. But one good thing, the repair guy was there, and he looked at my automatic threader, which has not worked since day 5 of owning the machine. And he fixed it. And he showed me why it may have gone out of alignment and the whole bit, which was good to know. So then it took me another half hour to keep remembering I no longer need one of these. This is called a Dritz. This is a threader. And maybe I'll do a idiot quilter one time and show how these little things work. But they're really good. But I'm really good with this because that's what I have to use all the time. And when you're embroidering, you're changing threads a lot because of your colors. So anyways, now it works. So that was a good thing. But then because there was all kinds of fabric all over the place because we were doing in the hoop applique, there were supposedly pot holders are in 2 pieces, and all kinds of thread changes and all kinds of layers because you got batting in there and you got insole, thermal insole stuff and all this kind of stuff. It's fairly complicated. Well, it's not that complicated if you were in an environment where you had in your own space to do it. But when you've got everybody else sitting on top of you, it does get complicated. And everybody's doing a different pattern, and everybody's at a different level. And yeah, so I was going to stay later, and we probably would have canceled the live because I probably wouldn't have got home till almost 6 o'clock. But I ran out of the backing fabric. Well, I didn't run out. I had it there. It was cut. I couldn't find it. I think when somebody else was packing up a little bit earlier, they may have accidentally packed it up with their stuff. So I used something else. The owner of the store said she didn't think that was a good idea because she thought that wouldn't really go. I wouldn't be happy with it. So she gave me some other fabric. She didn't have that fabric anymore that I had. So she gave me something else which will work as well. And I may just do this whole thing. We're supposed to bring it back next week and we're going to finish it up. But I think I am going to possibly restart it from the beginning now that I know how it works, and it'll be more calm. So anyways, it was kind of frustrating. Good group though. The people that were in it, these bunch all knew each other, most of them. They'd all been together in one of the other embroidery classes. And actually they were a fun group. But this was a fairly involved thing. So anyways, who have we got here? Lots of people. Let's see. Yes, Phyllis, I know the Democrats have taken the House back. We might talk about that a little bit. Mitzi's here. Hi, Mitzi. I don't know if you've ever been here before, Mitzi. Where are you from? And I'll write that down on my chart if you don't mind. Or if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to. Who else is here? Anita's here. Hi, Anita. Precy's here. Hi, Precy. Mel, I mentioned already. Julie's here. Hi, Julie. Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. So, yeah, usual bunch are here, which is fantastic because this is not our usual time. Don't get used to it. We're still going to go back to Sundays. So the reason we're not on tomorrow, I think we mentioned last week or whenever that we were going down to a place that's an hour and a half east of us to meet up with my first cousin that I haven't seen since 2005 to give him my father's, and who would be his uncle, and my grandfather, who's also his grandfather, Masonic aprons and rings because he's a member of the Masonic Lodge, or was, and they mean nothing to me, but they mean something to him. And I reached out and contacted him and asked him if he was interested, and he said he was. So kind of looking forward to this. My sister's going down with us and her husband. Because we aren't a big family. We don't have a lot of cousins, and so it'll be nice to catch up and find out what he's been doing in all these years and whatnot. So that means we would not been back in time to do our usual time. So it's on tonight. Well, what did you do when I was away at my class?
Nothing much.
No.
I went out and got some stuff at the grocery store and filled up my car with gas because of tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, sounds like exciting. Okay, so, Wisconsin is where Mitzi is from. She's been here a couple of times, but I don't know if you've ever said anything, Mitzi. Maybe we scare you. But anyways, I spell Wisconsin. Okay. I'm sort of on the right track. So, what kind of week has it been? Well, it all involves my mother. She got into a home on Friday night last week. Well, I probably mentioned it last Sunday that she was going in. Okay, so I was waiting for a call on Monday. Call never came. Tuesday, about near the late morning, I called them to find out, and I had to leave a message. And then someone called me back, though, within an hour and said they were just going to call me and tell me about everything. So she's going to the one we figured she would be going to, which is very close to the hospital she was in. And that's fine. And so then the doctor tells me that, well, they had done a chest x-ray on her on the Monday, I guess, or it might have been the tail end of the week before. I can't remember now. Everything blurs. And because they have to have a chest x-ray before they're admitted to the home because they want to check them for tuberculosis, right? Well, no tuberculosis, but they did find, the doctor, she called it a node on a lung. She said it was probably nothing to worry about, but she wanted to do a CT,
A CAT scan.
a CAT scan again. And they scheduled her for a CAT scan at 8 o'clock that morning that she was supposed to be going to Strathaven, to the nursing home. That's what it's called, Strathaven. And I said, well, like it was at 8 o'clock. I had to make arrangements for a transportation system, an ambulance, basically, to come to pick up my mother and transport her to the home. She was supposed to be at the home for admittance at 10:30. I'd made arrangements for the ambulance to pick her up at 9:45. Then they phoned back and said it would be at 10 o'clock. Fine and dandy. Doesn't matter. It was like half a kilometer away. It's so close. I could have just put her in a wheelchair and wheeled her downhill and let her go. That might have been fun. So I said to the doctor, well, but the doctor knew about it. He said, no problem. He says, it's not going to take long. Now, the only thing is if we have an emergency and they need the equipment, then she'll get bumped. And I said, so how's that affect us about getting home? He said, no, or she, I keep calling him he, it's a she, the doctor. Said, not a problem. Still go to Strathaven. We'll just do it as an outpatient thing.
Well, it's easy for her to say.
Yeah, or easy for her to say, yeah. But anyways, okay, fine. Well, when we got there, I told my mother we'd be there about 9 o'clock so we could pack up what she had in the room and everything and be there when the ambulance came to get her. Well, we get there at 5 after 9. They're just rolling her out of her room then to take her down for the scan. Okay. So while she was down getting scanned, we packed up her stuff. Holy crap! I didn't know how much stuff this lady had in her room for clothes and everything. We took out what? 4
Bags.
huge
bags.
garbage, or not garbage bags, huge, shopping bags, the recyclable kind of bags that you go to the store with, that kind of thing, full of stuff. My sister's been bringing her stuff and washing her stuff back and forth, but most of the time she was in her nightgown in the place, so why she needed all that, I'll never know. Anyways, we got it all packed up. We had a wheelchair to take to. Originally, I had made arrangements for the ambulance service to take it, but then we decided it folds up. We can take it in the car. Just one less thing to worry about. And, of course, we pay for this ambulance service. This is not covered by OHIP. So this was $97.17 to take her a kilometer, less than a kilometer.
OHIP is our health insurance plan. So Ontario Health Insurance Plan.
So we're waiting for them. 10 o'clock comes, they're not there. 10:15 comes, they're not there. 10:20, not there. I call them. I get a guy on the other end of the line that the phone connection sucked, that whatever he was talking through, I could hardly hear him. And when I could hear them, I could hardly understand them because we have this heavy accent. And I'm sorry if this sounds racist, but if you're going to work in our country and you're going to work as a communications person in whatever level, you have to be able to articulate clearly, not talk in your native accent. I'm sorry, but I don't understand you. And these businesses that hire them for this, not the right fit at all for it. And it's very, very frustrating. And I kind of said that out loud after I got off the phone, and one of the ladies that works in the hospital, she says, "You're darn right about that." But anyways, I digress. So, the guy said, "Oh yeah, they were coming from Kingston." Now, Kingston is what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, it's 200 miles away from us.
Miles or kilometers? No,
No, 200
that's miles.
kilometers. Yeah, 200.
No, it's more than 200. That would be 200 miles. It's about about 160 miles, isn't it? No, I don't know. It's a good, well over 2 hours from us. This is where they're based out of. Talk about stupid. So the guy said, "Yeah, they're running a little late. They'll be there in about 15 minutes." Well, about 20 minutes later, meanwhile, I phoned the nursing home and said, "Okay, we have a problem, and we'll be there." But they didn't seem to be too concerned. I suppose they're used to it. And this same lady that I just mentioned, she said to me, "Yeah, she used to work in that nursing home," and she said that would happen all the time. She says, "Who'd you call?" And I said the name of the company, and I'll say their name, Spectrum. And there was 2 companies I could pick.
214 kilometers.
How many?
214.
214 kilometers. Okay, so that's what, how many miles? That's about 150 miles. Something like that. Anyways, she said, "Yeah, they're bad," she says, and she's the one that told me they came from Kingston, and these guys confirmed it for me when they came. They were nice guys. They pretty much knew what they were doing, but yeah. So we get her into the nursing home. Of course, at that point in time, they have them all lined up in their wheelchairs because they have like one elevator to take them all to lunch, which is down in the basement of this building. And the elevator's not that big. So there's my mother on a stretcher by the front reception desk. They're trying to get somebody to admit her that was supposed to be there. Well, she was on a break, or no one knew where she was. They called somebody else. They didn't know where they were. So finally somebody came and we got her up to her room and we got her into, like, off the stretcher and everything. Then I get told all of her clothes, which we have in tow with us, and and we had a suitcase on top of this with stuff because way back when we knew when she was in the hospital, we want to be prepared for when they call you, because basically you gotta go. When they tell you, that's when you're going. So they give you a list of basic items of clothing and essentials that you should bring with them. And then later you can, of course, supplement all that once they get settled in. So my sister had gone through my mother's stuff and had packed up a suitcase ready to go, kind of like we're ripping off to go to the hospital to have a baby, kind of a thing. So we had that. Well, they label everything. But what you had to do is they gave us all these sheets of paper so you could itemize every piece of clothing and give a description of it as well. So there I am with a pen. I'm filling these out for these bags of clothes. So I'm going through my mother's undies and her bras and everything like this. Okay, 1 black bra, 1 white bra, 1 pair of floral panties or whatever, which she doesn't even wear panties because they have her perpetually in a diaper. So, whatever. Then we have people coming into the room, and she's sharing this accommodation with 2 other ladies. I'll talk to you more about those in a minute. And, it's disorienting for my mother, although she was pretty good, the whole bit. But, anyways, nurses are coming in, and there's more forms to fill out, and more things to sign that I had to sign, and it goes on. And then after we got that all done, we had to go down to the financial office, the accounting office, because of course you got to do the payment stuff. You got to pay and get that all set up, and I have power of attorney. And that was more forms to sign and everything. Then they brought my mother some lunch, and my mother seemed to like the lunch, which was good, but she was on her best behavior that day, so that was good. So we were there with my mother from 9 o'clock in the morning until, what time did we get out of there? About 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Something like that. In the meanwhile, when I got home, well, before came back home, we had to get her a television set. We had to get her a phone. We had to get her a clock. Then I had to get on to the providers of services for these things and make arrangements for it all, which I was very impressed with the fact that I was able. This was Wednesday. They said they would come in on Friday and do all this stuff. And that was great. Of course, they give you the window, right? 12 to 5. They might be there. It needs to be somebody there. And I said, well, it is a nursing home. I didn't really want to spend 5 hours waiting for them to show up. And then you know what happens. You wait the 5 hours, no one shows up, you call and go, oh yeah, we got behind today, we won't be able to do it today. So let's book you another time. And that's happened to me. So I wasn't looking forward to this, but apparently because it's a nursing home, no problem, there's somebody there. And I talked to the people in the nursing home about it, and they said, oh yeah, no problem. This happens all the time, they do it all the time, no big deal. So great. So that was, what day was that? That was Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We had other things. I had Guild this week. You had sewing class this week. We've been over on Monday to check on my mom too. So Thursday we had other stuff on. What do we have? Oh, I started my modern quilting class in the afternoon on Thursday. You went to the gym. I had a friend over, which we always get together on Thursday night for pizza or whatever. And so then it's Friday. So went over, you had to have the TV and the phone there for when the guy would come. So we went over, and we went purposely over when we knew my mother would be downstairs having lunch. Because I figured no one will be in the room, and we can unbox this stuff, get it all set up, whatever, and then it's ready for the guy, and I don't have to worry about my mother blah, 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 at me or anybody else. Because when I'm trying to concentrate on things, it's nothing worse than when people are in my ear. So we got all set up. Walter says, well, let's just go and have some lunch somewhere and then come back. That worked out really well because we had lunch, and when we came back, standing at the reception desk was the guy that was hooking up all her equipment. And I said, do you happen to be here for Lorna Bland, room 2013? And he goes, yeah. And he said, are you Steven? I said, yeah. And he said, great. So we took him up to the room, and away he did. And he got it all set up, and it took a while. But what took even longer was trying to show my mother how to use it.
Oh my God.
Oh, she's got the simplest system that you
She
can
was
get.
having trouble finding the on button on the remote control. And I said to her, it's the red one. They're always on the top.
And it's not like she hasn't used one before,
No,
because
I know.
in her apartment she did, and she had a TV in the hospital. And yes, they all operate slightly different, but this is Bell. We have the same controller at home. It is probably one of the simpler setups, controls. There. But then after this guy left and we were testing it out, this stupid TV set that we bought her, it's a smart TV, well, they're all supposed to be smart, it wanted to come up with some selections before it would go right to, the channel. And I thought, how do we get that off the screen? Because that would mean she would have had to use the remote control for the box, the cable box, and she would have had to use the remote control for the TV. And oh my God, no, she'd never figured that out in 1,000 years. Long story short, we did figure out how to make it work with just the one remote control, and everything is fine as far as I know. The phone was working. The phone is a very simple phone. But of course, it's a wireless phone, right? They all are now. The buttons aren't that big. I didn't get her any fancy services because she'd never figure out how to use voice messaging, call waiting, any of that stuff. I never got any of those things on her phone. I got her a very basic package along with a long distance plan, for 500 minutes a month across Canada for like next to nothing with it. Not that the only person she knows long distance basically to call, well, her best friends are sort of long distance, not that far though. They just happen to be just on the edge. And my brother. And my brother usually calls her, well, supposed to.
No.
That's another story. So, anyways, I had to show her how to use the phone.
And that's not hard either.
Yeah.
When you pick it up, there's a talk button. And when you put it down again, and when you're done, you're supposed to push end. Well, do you think that she could figure that out?
No. I want to make sure you understand something about my mother. She's not in a nursing home because she has dementia or Alzheimer's. There is nothing wrong with her brain. My mother is not a stupid woman. She doesn't like technology particularly. Well, she won't try technology. She never would. When my father had a computer, she wouldn't touch it. She's basically analog in a digital world. Okay? So I get it. But the problem is, she would be happy if we had a small person sitting beside her 24/7 who she could just say, channel 12. And they would click it for her. So heaven only knows. I haven't talked to her today.
I'm sure she hasn't figured it out. Well, if she wants to watch TV, she'll have to
Let's figure it out or get a nurse to turn it on for her.
Well, I imagine the nurses probably know.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they do. But anyways, she's in there because, as you know, she refused to walk and exercise her legs, her muscles atrophied, and she can't walk.
And
So-
she also has poor upper body strength.
Yeah,
too.
because she didn't do
And
anything.
it's funny when you put in the phone is close to her left hand, although she's right-handed, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to reach for the phone. She has trouble rolling over in bed and stuff like that too. So she's trying to reach it with her right hand. And I said, why don't you just reach it with your left hand? She goes, oh. As if that was a revelation. But she still will try to do it with her right.
Now, to be fair to my mother, she's going through, it's disorientation. It's a new place, new environment, new sensations, the whole bit. So yeah, it's going to take her a little bit of time to get used to things. She was probably still a little bit emotionally overwhelmed because even though she's the one that wanted to be in a home, I didn't put my mother in a home. My mother put herself in a home, okay? Just to make that clear. I don't know if reality is starting to set in that this is not a 5-star hotel. So when we went over on yesterday, to set up everything and whatnot, and she was back from her lunch, I said, so how's the food? How's your setup? Because they get her up in the morning, they get her cleaned up, dressed and everything, and they take her down to meals. They do not serve meals. I've told her this. They're not going to serve your meals in bed. It's not the hospital. They are going to take you down. They'll help you take you down to where the dining room is. Well, she said it wasn't bad. I said, well, how were the people that you were seated with? They try to kind of, mix them in a way that they think will make them, socialize and that, people aren't going to kill each other with a bread knife. There's this one German lady. My mother in the last few years has gotten really
Racist?
Yeah, maybe she always was. Well, because now she's spotting people's nationalities, so she's not being very PC about the whole thing. But anyways, there's this German lady. Well, she's very impatient. She kept waving down the waitresses and stuff for this kind of stuff. And I thought, oh my God, that's the kettle calling the pot black. And then she said, well, she seems very nice. But boy, can she eat. Well, Mom, that's because you eat like a bird. In fact, I've seen birds eat more than you do. But anyways, but she thought the food was good, although they had liver one night. And my mother loves liver. Not me, just... Had a kid next door when I was growing up. His parents called it velvet steak because he hated it. And that's a good description of liver because it's the texture of liver, the whole bit. Oh, and my mother and my father both love liver. And
I used to like it, but I don't know. Last time I had it, I didn't really.
My mother used to serve it once a week, and those were horrible times. So anyway, she said, "Well, it was tough though. I couldn't cut it." And I said, "Well, Mom, they'll come and help you with that, And all you have to do is ask. Well, she said, well, one of the nurses or she called them a waitress, I don't know one of the attendants, whatever, came over and said to her, well, is there something wrong with, with your dinner? Are you not liking it? She says, well, I can't cut it. And the mom said, well, you just call me over, not a problem. She says, I'll help you with it. I'll cut it up for you anytime. She said, they can't be nicer.
Now, mind you, the knives are probably not that sharp.
Well, yeah, or the bread knife, yeah.
Or maybe your mother didn't feel like eating it, and that was her excuse.
Yeah. They give them lots of choice. they come with a menu, basically, a one-page menu kind of a thing. I haven't really seen them, but that's what I imagine they are from what my mother described. And they can choose from several different things every night. She said she really liked the breakfast. It was good. And the lunch was good. They had a little sub and they had a salad with it or something. She thought that was good. So I thought, okay, well, this is great. Funny thing was, she complained in the hospital all the time because it seemed the only vegetables they ever served were broccoli and carrots. And she was sick of broccoli and carrots. So when the nurse came in and was doing a sort of a preliminary workup about her, was asking about food preferences, any allergies, anything, what things don't you like? My wife says, well, I don't like broccoli and carrots. I had too much of that in the hospital. And she wrote it down. So I said to her, did you get broccoli and carrots? No. Did I ask her that? I was going to ask her that. I don't know if I did. But she never said she got broccoli and carrots. So she was happy about that, I guess. So, yeah, it was fun. Now, I said to her, so, have you met your roommates yet? And there was one lady, she's got a television set, and I think it's on all the time, and it's not up very loud. That was another thing. We got my mother earbuds. Okay. In the hospital, on their television set, they had the cheap airline headphone sets, the little foamy things and stowed at the top. She didn't like those. She wanted a pair. She
saw somebody else that had earbuds. She'd never worn earbuds.
She's never, and I said, Mom, I don't think you're going to like earbuds. They pop out of your ears. They're not, you know what they're like, kind of a thing. I don't really like earbuds either. But then she saw somebody else had a pair of, the old retro ones we used to wear in the 70s, I call them the Princess Leia ones, the big earmuffs kind of a thing. Well, those might be good because they'd stay on her head better because those other ones didn't. And I said, well, they're heavier, Mom. But okay, so I got her a pair of those. Yep. She was wearing them. I think I told you this. We came into the hospital right after I got them for her the next day or 2 days later. She's wearing them on her cheeks. I said, Mom, your ears aren't there. They're up here. She said, well, I can hear fine with them this way. Well, she said, they don't stay on my head properly. So I was determined I was not getting her earbuds because I knew that was it. So I said to her, well, your choice is those or you go back to the other style. Whatever. So she seemed to adapt, which I figured she would. She was talking about, I said, we have to get you a set of headphones when we get you a TV set, too. So we have to get a TV set that's got an audio jack in it. Because, you've got two other people in this room and, you don't want to be disturbing them and that kind of thing.
And not only that, your mother, I don't think, would be able to hear it if it was down low like the other ladies has it.
No, she wouldn't.
She'd be blasting everybody else.
Yeah, because my mom does have a bit of a hearing problem, I think. I should talk to them at the home about that when they come in if they do tests on their ears. But anyways, so I got her a pair of cheap earbuds, but I got the type that, sort of the rubbery type that, you sort of shove in your ears and they kind of expand a little bit. I figured those would stay in a little better than, if you get the Apple ones and that kind of thing, because they just sort of, mine anyways, always just pop out of my head. And I've got a pair of these ones with the little rubber stuff, so they work okay. So I showed her how to use those. Well, you would think you'd know where your ears are. 78 years of living with ears, you'd think you'd know where your ears are. She seems to have a problem with that. Reminds me of an old commercial that used to come on TV with a crunchy bar or something, and it was like Frankenstein monster, and he used to eat, and he always stick it in his head. Well, this was kind of the thing here too. So, anyways, and at that point, I had just about given up.
And she's afraid to push them in too far.
Yeah, I said, Mom, they're not going to get lodged in your ears. You can't stick them through and tickle your brain with them. Although,
well, and then she kept saying. Then you had the volume control, and she goes, you said, can you hear anything? And she said, no, I can't hear anything. So you jack it right up to like 50. And she suddenly says she can hear anything. And then all of a sudden she goes, oh, it's too loud.
Yeah. So anyways, we showed her how to adjust the volume on the TV set and all that stuff. And heaven only knows what we're going to find when we go over again. But we're not going over again until Monday. I don't think my sister's been over yet because she worked all week.
She's I think she's avoiding going over.
Yeah, it's. I kind of know how that feels because when my dad first went into a nursing home too, and that was really my first experience. Well, no, my grandmother had been in one, but I didn't see her that often. So it is kind of a disheartening thing. And that one, my other one in was horrible. There was people sitting around drooling, and it was an unpleasant environment, really. But we had no choice at the time for the way he got admitted. And he only lasted 6 weeks anyways, then he passed away. So, and if they had come up and said there was a room available in this place, even though it wasn't on our list, there was no way I would put my mother in that one. Because, one, I didn't like it, and two, my father died there. I mean, how to make somebody feel really good, you know? Oh, yeah. Oh, Mrs. Bland, your husband was in here. Oh, yeah, he died here. So sorry, dear. Would you like a chocolate bar? Like, no. So I was happy that one wasn't on the list or whatever. But I know my sister had a hard time with it when my father went in. And so I'm sure she's having flashbacks to all of that. But she said she'd go over at the first of the week again because she's not working, I don't think, on Monday, whatever.
I mean, the place is kind of old inside, but it's not bad.
No, it's not really bad. But
it is a nursing home.
It is a nursing home. Well, yeah. But, I mean, the staff there so far, every one of them that I've had to deal with or come across, nicest, warmest people. Come in, they talk to my mother, they ask her what she would like, they explain things to her in a very nice way, they make eye contact, they talk to her, they don't talk to me at the same time because my mother's with it. So, you know, they are not condescending or anything like that. So, it's pretty good. But I do have one little concern, and there's not much I can do about it, but I have made the staff aware of it. Well, my mother said she didn't sleep very well the night before. There is a lady in the bed next to hers who we think has dementia.
Actually, I think she might have Alzheimer's.
Or it might be Alzheimer's, yeah. And she is not good. And she gets up in the night and she can't walk. And they have her actually hooked up to a special alarm that if she gets up and tries to get out of bed, it makes the alarm go off. And we were there when it went off at one point, and holy crap, it would wake the dead. Oops, maybe not the most appropriate thing to say about a nursing home. But anyways, so I'll rephrase it, would wake the semi-dead. And they come in, and I guess my mother, her story was, not sure how true, well, this woman, of course, is in a diaper, and she had soiled herself, and my mother says, oh, the smell was horrible in there. And then she's playing in it. And okay.
Alzheimer's patients will do that.
Yeah. So, you know, not nice for my mother. The other lady that's in the room, my mother never sees. And I've never seen her in the couple of times we've been over so far because she's up and out in the morning. I don't think she comes back in until the streetlights turned on. She's out playing, having fun, and doing whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, I said to Mom, well, I've got you on a waiting list, I said, for an upgrade to, this is a ward room, 3 beds. They're semi-private with 2 beds, little bigger room, which would be nice because her part of the room is not, it's a little squishy.
It's pretty squishy.
Like we had to do a lot of juggling act to get the TV, and the TV, they didn't want anything larger than 23 inches. And in this day and age, trying to buy a TV set that size,
it's not they're
that
not that easy to find.
Especially when we need one with an audio thing on it, but we did find one. In fact, the clock I got her, I took it home. There's not enough room for the clock. But she probably doesn't need a clock. But we'll wait and see. If she brings it up and says she wants a clock or whatever, then I'll see if I can find something much smaller that'll fit sort of by the TV set. Whatever. So I mentioned it to the nurse that, you know, and they knew what this woman was like and the whole bit. But apparently, when she's awake and they were going down for lunch, she kept ramming her wheelchair into my mother's wheelchair as they were waiting for the elevator and stuff like that. And she pulled my mother's hair. Not good. They have a very strict policy about physical, sexual, emotional, verbal abuse by staff to residents, residents to staff, residents to residences, family to residences, family to family, anybody. In fact, I read about a 10-page document about all this stuff in there. So I thought, well, maybe I better bring it up just in case. And I said to my mother, well, my mother was saying this woman's name is Anne Marie.
Anne Marie, yeah.
And she was, when we were there and I was telling you that she was trying to get out of bed, my mother's going, Anne Marie, don't do that. Lay down, Anne Marie. Like she was talking to a small child. And I said, Mom, she doesn't understand what you're saying. And when the woman tries to talk, you can't understand what she's saying. It's all garble and the whole bit. So she's seriously ill with whatever. And I said, Mom, just ignore it.
Actually, yelling at them are
Probably agitates.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I think we said that to her too. I said, Mom, if she's causing a ruckus, pull your little thing to get the nurse. They'll come in. They'll get her subdued. I said, if she comes or if anybody comes near you and touches you or does anything, you immediately call the nurse or whatever. Or if you aren't by your pole, you just start calling out help for it. Because nobody has a right to touch you. You're in a safe environment. They understand and they will keep it safe. They won't allow that to happen. So if you feel that you are not safe, you let them know in no uncertain terms. Which is really reassuring for someone who'd only now been a day and a half, 2 days in the place, right? So anyways, I have her on the waiting list.
It's a bit shocking at first.
Yeah.
When you first see that. 'Cause my mother was moved into a dementia ward. And my sister got very upset that she was in dementia. My mother had dementia. And there was a lot of Alzheimer's patients in there. But my mother was also blind. So she couldn't see anything. And they put her up there because she had more care. More intense care than somebody that was sighted. And but anyway, at first it's disturbing to see the Alzheimer's patients, but once you get used to them, it's just getting used to them.
Yeah. So I'm just going to. So anyways, she's in there. We'll be back over on Monday. I'm going to take some. Well, we took a quilt over that she had, and I got them to label it because now I'm going to start dressing up her part of the room a little bit, make it a little bit more homey. So I'm going to take some pictures over and let her select what she'd like on the walls because they basically say you can do anything you want to do. Like they will put them up on the walls for you. Their handy person or whoever, their maintenance guy. So anyway, she's in there now. I have to get adjusted to the fact, okay, how am I going to handle this? How often in a week am I going over to visit her? Because I can't keep up the pace. We were going 3 times a week when she was at the hospital. I called her every other day, the days we weren't going there and the whole bit. I will continue to call her, but I'm going to start limiting this down to 1 day a week. And next week, I think the 1 day is going to be Monday because busy Tuesday, have a class Wednesday, have a class Thursday, then it's Friday, maybe go over on Friday at some point. Weekends are booked with stuff too. I have a life. We have a life.
What are people saying anyway?
So, yeah. So anyways, I want to say hello to anybody. So that's the story of my mother and that's it. But bottom line is I'm glad she's now in a nursing home and now we can work on, making her life
a little
better for her, I hope. Okay, so I saw a few people come up here. Just trying to catch up. I think I said hello to Cindy and Mel and Julie. Angela's here. Hi, Angela. Who else is here? Anita, I think I said hello to you. Carol's here. Hi, Carol. B&D are here. Hi, everybody. Tracy, I think I said hello to you too. And Kathy's here. Okay, Kathy Patterson. So great. So I see there's some discussion going on about what's coming up the weekend. Someone has mentioned that in the UK it's Remembrance Day or the Memorial Day, whatever you call it. Same here for us, November 11th. Well, same in the States too. Everywhere, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, November 11th.
Yeah, November 11th, right? So we have that tomorrow and everything. Somebody else, I think it was Nita, said they had their kickoff in her area for Christmas and things like that. Yes, I guess we're all starting to think about Christmas, bah humbug. What else is going on here? Andy says, B&D, what's the remembrance? And they say it's the service remembering those who died in the war and conflict. Remembrance Sunday tomorrow here in the UK.
Don't have that in the U.S.?
Yeah, well, Andy, you're from the U.S., aren't you? Right? But you probably call it Memorial Day or something like that. I don't know.
No. I thought, yeah, I don't know. It's
We call it Remembrance
Oh.
Day, but I think it's called several other things in around the world. I don't know. Um, yeah, and there are just some comments about what we're talking about here. Anita says, or Andy says, my folks were blessed. Neither one of them had to go into a nursing home. And Anita says, sure, it's an adjustment for all. After 2 to 3 weeks, the residents seem to adjust. Yep. And she says it's also very familiar, but they may be able to change your room. It sometimes takes to wait for another. Yeah, I know it's going to take a while for it. And I've told my mother that's not going to happen tomorrow. If it may take months and months and months. Basically depends who dies. Yeah, kind of sad. Big change for her. Yep. Let's see. And Anita says, I worked on an Alzheimer's unit with 24 residents. Yes, we usually told families that it helps the residents adjust if you don't come every day at first, depending on the resident. Yeah, well, we won't be going every day. I just can't take the pace. It's still in the same place where the hospital was, the same town. That's 25 minutes one way for us and back. And basically, it really does kill a day. Because, and now I don't know when to go over during the day because she has regular meals scheduled that they take them down to, and that's a bit of an experience because the help have to push them down, and there's a big lineup.
Yeah, well, actually, what it is that they go down. This particular home is built the old style, where it has one main dining room and it happens to be in the basement. Mm-hmm. So everybody on the upper levels have to go down to the dining room.
So it's the timing. Probably won't, and I don't. She may get more involved in some of the activities too. So I don't know. We might have to do it on on the weekends. We don't have as many activities and things. Maybe it would be easier.
Actually, in the United States, it's called Veterans Day.
Oh, okay.
We call it Remembrance
Yeah.
Day.
We might have to plan to go on like a Sunday afternoon or something like that once a week. We'll see. Yeah, I guess it'll all work itself out, one way or the other. Yeah, Kathy says we have Veterans Day tomorrow, and sorry, Veterans Day. So yep. Everybody's got that tomorrow. Well, everybody in the world, yeah. Oh, Mel says, and here we have Father's Day tomorrow. Oh. Do you not have Remembrance Day? Because Finland was in the war, wasn't it? In the wars, in the Great Wars. I don't know. I don't know anything about Finnish history. Sorry.
It's Finnish.
It's Finnish, yeah. So, anyways, yep, that's my mom. Let's get off the topic. I will have my vlog up this week. And I forget what I'm going to be doing on it, but there'll be something. And yeah, our sewing classes already kind of alluded to the one I had today. Well, I kind of explained it at the very beginning, how that worked out. How was your sewing class on Tuesday night?
It was really good because one person didn't show up.
Oh, the mouthy one. Don't say her name, just in case. You never know. That would be nasty, but I guess everybody was...
Well, not that nobody likes, it's just that she asks a lot of questions.
It'll go warm.
It won't go warm.
I don't like warm champagne. I know you do.
I mean,
I'll drink everything warm. Well, what? So what did you do in that class?
made napkins.
Oh, that's right. I didn't see your napkins.
I showed them to you last night.
You did?
Yeah,
Was I asleep?
probably.
Oh. I was very tired last night. Very tired right now.
Anyway,
Let me get this champagne on here.
yeah, one lady that she asked a lot of questions and a lot of questions that are really not things that they're things that she should know already, and she asked a lot of speculation questions and that to the point where it's almost like she's looking for attention.
Hmm.
You know, so, and it can be kind of disruptive, and anything like a lot of questions where the instructor has to answer or wants to answer them ends up taking a lot of time. So what ends up happening is that the class ends up taking longer than what it should.
I mean, part of the problem there, though, is
Part of the problem is the instructor isn't controlling the situation.
no. That's what I was going to say. And this is just my teacher coming out. You will always have somebody in a class who will ask all kinds of questions, and not necessarily are they dumb questions. And of course, being a teacher, I always say to the kids, there's no such thing as a dumb question. It's only dumb if you don't ask it and don't understand something because you didn't ask. But sometimes they jump ahead, and you're trying to do things in a sequence to keep everything straight, and somebody says, well, and that's when you take control. You say, okay, we are going to come to that, so just hang on to that question until then. Okay, thank you. And you move right on. And if they try to engage you again, then you get a little firmer. You go, yeah, well, as I said, let's get through this section first, and then we can come to that because I think it'll be more relevant at that point in time. And if they keep pressing, you pull out your gun, you blow their fucking face out. Bad language. You blow their face off. Yeah? What? Got a problem with that? It's effective. A bit of a cleanup, but Anyways, so yeah, Mel says the Finns were in the war. Yeah, I thought so. We have Veterans Day in spring, in April. Okay, Mel, do you know the reason why you have it then? Because I thought across the world, because it was the 11th hour on the 11th day from World War I when the armistice was signed, like the peace and everything like that. And I just figured that was universal. So I'm interested. I want to know. I'm asking one of those questions. Anyways, yeah. So tomorrow off, as I said, to see my cousin. Really don't know what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to see a younger version of his father, my uncle. Like if he's going to look like my Uncle Rob, or I don't remember at my uncle's funeral in 2005. I know Scott was there for a while.
I don't remember him.
But we didn't engage with him very much. Now, here's the problem. It's not a problem with my cousin. It was a problem with my mother and his mother. For her, when she married my uncle, she'd already been married before, she was divorced, and she had a son. So the stepbrother then to my cousin. And my grandmother, my uncle's mother, hated this woman. But she hated her because she was stealing her little boy from her. Now, my uncle didn't get married until he was in his early 30s or so. Kind of an unclaimed treasure. He was always babied by my grandmother because she lost her older boy to my mother, my father. And she wasn't always very kind to my mother either, although I think as the years went by, their relationship was much better. But in the beginning stages of it, from what I know, I mean, I was too little to know anything, they didn't get along too well. And also the problem was that my father had to marry my mother because it was 1956 when he knocked her up with me. And so in January of 1957, January 3rd, they got married in a small little ceremony in the minister's house with only their witnesses there. And from what I understand, my father's parents did not come to that service. My mother's did. But my mother was 16, my father was 18. So there you go. And it was the 50s. So then I guess when this woman came along and latched on to my uncle, also my mother considered my aunt a gold digger. Because when my grandparents had passed away and they were cleaning out the house, my aunt was there and she sort of thought that my family had money. Yeah, no. Not even close to it. But according to my mother, she just ransacked through the house. She just took everything of any value at all. So my mother always had a hate on for her. And as a result, we were younger. And so, you're going to believe your mother, right? And we never saw this aunt too often. And then, of course, she and my uncle got divorced. But there's probably good reasons for that because my uncle was an alcoholic. He was a quiet alcoholic, but he was an alcoholic. So my cousin really had some drama in his life, but we didn't hang out. They lived in a different town, like I said, an hour and a half away. Didn't see them very often, if at all. And as the years went by, after my uncle passed away, I had to go through other people to find an email address for him. But he sounds like, now he's almost 40, or he would be 40 now. He's 21 years younger than me. So, not a kid anymore. And that's problems with our with our parents. This is not a problem with us. or
Yeah, I
anything
know.
like that.
Like I had things when my parents had problems with their siblings and stuff like that and all. And a lot of that stuff was not really justified, I thought. But it wasn't me, it was them.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, it'll be interesting. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he's got any children. I don't know. I know very little about my cousin. All I know is that he decided a few years ago to go back to school, go back to college, and he got whatever he got. I don't even know what he got. And I don't know what he does for a living. I know that when we were trying to set up which weekend we could do this, that he was working one weekend at the local prison. I don't know if he's a guard. I don't know if he's a social worker. I don't know if he's in administration or something like that. It sounded like that was something he did once a month or something. So I don't know what is that. Maybe he volunteers there. Maybe he does something. I have no idea. So being an English teacher, I analyzed his email messages and his writing style. And I was very favorably impressed by, I don't know, I guess I had in my head because my uncle wasn't the brightest man on the face of the planet. He was a good man. He was a troubled man, I guess, at times. Like, that's why his
a
drinking.
few times I met him, I thought he was okay.
Yeah, well, he was kind of like, I always liked him when I was a kid. Well, of course, my uncle, when I was born, was 12 years old, too. So, I remember when he was like in his late teens or early 20s and that, and he'd be going, I always wanted to go out with him. He took me once to a pool hall as a little kid. My grandmother just about killed him. You took him to a pool hall, like you took him to a den of iniquity where there's loose women and beer. How could you do that? Oh, she let right into him about that. I thought it was cool. And what's ironic was, apparently, I didn't know this until only a few years ago, my great-grandfather, my father's grandfather, or actually my grandmother's father, owned and operated a billiards parlor, a pool hall, at one point during the dirty 30s or into the 20s and into the 30s or something. So, there's a little irony there, but then maybe that's why my grandmother didn't want him taking me. There could have been some stuff there. I don't know. I don't know much about that history in the family.
Who knows?
So who knows? But anyways, so it'll be interesting. We'll find out all about him. Okay, let's move on. What are people saying? Mel says, unfortunately can't answer that. Not so interested about war, things related to it. Time for Veterans Day has something to do with the end of the war. You should read our history. It's quite unique. Finnish history. Phyllis wants to know what we're eating. What is it?
It's camembert on toast with
Melba toast, isn't it?
Melba toast, a type of Melba toast,
With-
and a little dab of
Red
hot
pepper jelly? Yeah. They're actually quite tasty. These actually have a garlic background to them, do they?
No, actually, they're supposed to be cheese.
Oh, it tastes kind of garlicky. Do you want that?
No, I've already eaten
You want
half.
that?
I've already
You want
eaten
that?
most
You want
of
that?
the plate.
You don't want
so
that?
No,
You don't want that?
no. You can name it.
Want it now?
No,
Want it now?
no.
Oh.
Not after you licked it. Ew.
Well, let's talk a little bit. We don't need to dwell on it, but I was very happy for the Americans. The Democrats have taken the House, not by a large majority, but nevertheless, they still have control of it. Unfortunately, they do not have control of the Senate, although I think the gap is a little smaller. I heard this morning on one of the podcasts I was listening to that they elected in Colorado for the first time a gay governor.
Oh,
And there's never been a gay, openly gay governor than there's been an openly gay governor in the United States yet. So I think that's very progressive.
A lot of closeted ones.
Either that or when they went to the poll thing, they were all high
Yeah.
because it's legal there, and I don't know. But anyways, so don't know how Trump's feeling about this. Of course, he's not going to say he's still Trump. And apparently, I also heard on the same podcast that Trump had already done all his printing of his stuff, his literature that he's going to give out when he runs in 2020 for president again. And he did it now because apparently his tariffs will affect the cost on those in another few weeks or something when they go into effect. So he was getting ahead of the game. So, okay, whatever. But it looks like maybe the tide is turning in the States, and that's good. Too bad that in our province, we have our own Trump now, as you've heard us talk about before. And it's just going to he's only just started to make our lives miserable. So it'll go from there. What are people saying? Hi, Brenda. And Anita says, oh, Trump hates everyone except himself. Oh, yeah. Kathy says, wasn't it New York that had a married governor who had a homosexual affair several years ago? Yeah,
That's
well,
a possibility.
look at the number in the Senate and in the House
It has happened before.
Well, look in the House of Representatives and the Senate over there. There's little scandals of that nature all the time. And I heard something very interesting on the same podcast. There was a study done about something to do with intolerance to the LGBTQ community and that kind of thing. And it was funny, but the two groups that tended to stand out were the Republicans or people who had Republican sympathy or whatever, or alignment, and Christians. And a lot of Republicans are Christians. Now, when I say Christians, I'm not saying that to be derogatory against an organized religion, although I do not believe in organized religion, and I do blame a lot of the problems in our world, wars, all that kind of stuff, on organized religion. But for the most part, Christians are supposed to be, I was raised Christian. Not a good one. You love, you respect people and the whole bit. But the fundamentalist type of Christians tend to be really bad about things. There, I said it. I'm not going to pussyfoot around it. You stick your religion in my face, and I'll stick your religion right up your whatever with it. Because I don't care if you have a religion and you follow it. You just don't throw it down anybody else's throat. That's your decision. It's your life. Don't you try to convince me that your lifestyle and what you believe in is necessarily what I should be believing in. And that's what happens with these people. And of course, that's why a lot of these Republicans and the Christians, they don't like gay people. Because we're an abomination. Horns. Okay. So anyways, I'm happy for the Americans that there's a sign of hope here, and maybe come the next election, you'll get somebody in power who deserves to be there and can make America great again in a way that will make the rest of the world respect the states. Again, because right now there's no respect. Sorry, but there is no respect. And it all has to do with Trump. So what are people saying? Nairee's here. Hi, Nairee. Hi, Stephen and Walter and everyone. Great to be able to join you today. It's Sunday morning here in Australia, 9:40 a.m. Yeah, I've thought about you, Nairee, when we changed this week's to today. That I thought, yeah, you don't have to run off to work. Andy says, Kansas elected the first Native American lesbian representative to Congress. Yes, I heard that today on that podcast, too. So times are changing for the better, I think.
Actually, what would be for the better is if sexuality, your sexual orientation isn't a factor or why does the fact that she's lesbian make any difference?
Make any difference? No.
You shouldn't be, you hear all the time public people being elected and that they say first openly gay such and such, right?
Yeah.
But really, if everything was equal and everything, then your sexuality shouldn't make any difference.
No. And actually, on that podcast that I mentioned, they were talking about this new governor in Colorado. He apparently is married to another guy, of course, and they have 2 children. But he never ever ran with. He didn't play what we would call the gay card in order to try and get the gay votes. He was there. That people voted for him not because he was gay. They voted for him because he was the right man for the job. And that kind of thing.
That's the way it should be.
And probably the same with this lady who's in, what is this? Is she in the House of Representatives, the Senate, whatever.
And I'm sure have been other people that are gay or lesbian that have been in politics. In
Well,
the
there's
United
been
States.
mayors, many mayors.
But it
Look at Harvey
wasn't
Milk.
really talked about. Like it's not.
Mhm.
It was hidden.
And the sad part is, it is Trump who has made it very difficult. It is a slap in Trump's face when someone from the LGBT community gets elected in power because of the way he's gone after them. I mean, now he's going after transgender and all that kind of stuff. And apparently, Native Americans, if they live on a reservation, can't vote. This is what was on that podcast as well. Because there is some kind of law or something that states you have to have an address. And on reservations,
They don't have.
they don't have an address. Well, you live there. Why can't you say, we live on the reservation? I don't know. So anyways, that's kind of racist and everything else. Bigoted. I don't know. But anyways, I think it's a good thing that this is happening now, and maybe this holds out hope for the 2020 election. Just depends who will be up against Trump.
Yeah, that's assuming that there's somebody better.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I don't know if Hillary will run again, but
No, I
Hillary's
doubt it.
very controversial too, I guess.
Yeah, she has her. There's a lot of people that don't like her either. So
Yeah. But the whole thing that bugs me though is that since Trump got in, we as Canadians have been, and the world, have been very interested in American politics. Before this,
followed a little.
we followed it, but we could care less. Like, okay, so you got somebody in there, big deal. How's that affect us? The problem is Trump is affecting us. And he's affecting the rest of the world, too. For one man to have that kind of an effect on the world is, let's see, who else was like that? Tip of my tongue, let me think. He incinerated
Yeah,
a lot
with
of
an H.
Jews. Yeah, Hitler. Yeah. Or let's say Genghis Khan, or let's say some of the Mao, some of the great dictators, Stalin. Well, at least he's got company. His name will go down in history, all right up there with the other criminals. But moving on. Julie has to go. Bye, Julie. Tracy says chocolate is my religion. Yeah, that's probably a good one to have. It's all genetic, Tracy says, and I can't say that word. Epignatic? What's a epignatic?
You're an English teacher. You should know.
Or epigenetic? Epigenetic. What do you think that is? I've never seen that word in my life.
Well, I've never said epigenetic.
I wonder if spell check is kicked in.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. Or we're just ignorant about that word. Please, enlighten us, Tracy, because I have never seen that word. Trans, gay, cis, all of it. Leave people alone. Yeah. Pol Pot, Tracy says. Pol Pot? Oh, Tracy, you come up with stuff that makes us feel like as dumb as Trump.
It's like for the longest time I was trying to figure out what POTUS meant.
POTUS.
POTUS, President of the United States.
President of the United States. Well, I didn't know what GOP meant. I thought
Yeah,
gross overall product. What that good old party.
Yeah.
It's the Republicans. Good
Yeah.
old party. They call it the GOP. GOP. Okay. Whatever. I mean, so really. Oh, Tracy's defined it for it. It's when outside chemicals change your DNA. Okay. Learn a new word. Use it 10 times. It's yours. Brenda wants to know what's for supper. Oh, Brenda, you're just trying to change the subject to get off of Trump because we know. But what is for supper? We said we're having steak.
We're having sous vide steak. It's in our plastic bag, soaking.
Yeah, in other words, meat in a Ziploc in a hot water bath, which always turns out good. Did you add anything to it this time, or did you
Well,
just...
actually, I pre-froze it and it was in the bag in the freezer. I just dumped it in.
Well, I mean, did you
There's butter in it and stuff like that, and pepper. And
butter? What, garlic butter?
I'm not sure. I can't remember if I put garlic.
The last
in
time
that
you
one or
put
not.
garlic butter in, didn't we say that wasn't? You
No,
thought-
I didn't put garlic in. I don't think I put garlic in this one.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Oh, grand old party.
Grand old party.
That's what it is. What I say?
Great old party.
Great old party. Whatever. It's an old party. Yeah, it's got a lot of old party people in it too. Okay, so moving on. Anything?
Gay old party.
Yeah, gay old party. Oh, that would be good. Yeah, it's fun. What's eating you? Anything?
Not sure.
I'm too tired to be eaten.
Um,
Oh, I just thought what that sounded like. Never mind. I don't have anything to be pissed off yet about. Maybe we'll have something after the weekend. I know one thing that pissed me off, but I can't talk about it because it's too close to home. No,
What's
it's
that?
not about Walter. You know who it might be about. Let's not go there.
No, I know.
Anything happened to you this week that got your knickers in a knot?
I can't really think of actually something keyed in when actually that you were talking about earlier, which isn't anything that's happened to me lately, but it was something that did tick me off a long time ago, and so I'm all out of desperation. I will talk about this. Is let's say you take your car in to get fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've booked an appointment before. There's times where I can just sort of drive in but I've booked an appointment before to take my car in and to do something and it's specific. And actually it even happened when I was working. And then I don't hear from them again. And middle of the afternoon, I phone them and they say to me, "Oh, we haven't gotten to it yet. If we don't get to it today, we'll do it tomorrow." Right? And I'm going, well, when I was working, right now it's not a big deal because I'm retired. But when I was working, a lot of times I took a day off to bring my car in.
Yeah, I
Right?
know.
So one time I remember it was something that had to be fixed, and it might have even been a recall. And they said to me later in the day, "Well, we're not going to be able to get around to it today. You're gonna have to bring it in again tomorrow, or leave it overnight." And I said, "Well, that's fine," but I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to book it another time because I said I have to work tomorrow. I took the day off."
Mm-hmm.
So it's really annoying when you book an appointment for something, and then I said to them, the whole reason for booking the appointment is for you to have it done today. If you can't schedule your stuff so that you get everything done today, then why book an appointment?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was saying earlier about this window of opportunity, or whatever you want to call it, when these service providers, your telephone, your TV, whatever, and they say, yes, someone will be there between 12 and 5. And in fact, well, the provider we were dealing with is our telephone company, which is Bell Canada. And they also send you a recorded message now saying that there has to be somebody 18 years or older there at the time. Lock up your pets if you've got anything, because they don't like to be eaten. Do this, do that, and the other thing. And then they tell you, and so you know, this installation can take anywhere between 2 to 8 hours. What are you doing? Rewiring my whole damn house? I don't think so with it. Although, that's not untrue, because we had a few years ago Bell come in because we were upgrading our modem system, our network.
And they took a long time.
They were here 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I thought, holy crap, we could have built a new house in 6 hours, let alone for that. But,
I guess you're getting your money's worth when you're paying $60 installation.
yeah, that's the other thing. Well, I could tell you, if they turned around and the guy hadn't shown up yesterday to hook it up, and they were charging us $59.95 at one-time activation fee, but it was free installation. Yeah, I don't think
But
so.
somehow that's installation.
Yeah, with it, yeah. I would have been calling them saying, okay, you've rescheduled me. I want free activation for the aggravation you put me through. But I was looking here, and Nairi says she's having some problem. Well, she's getting some reverberation, but other people say they're not, and she's refreshed. So it must be your connection, Nairi. But something interesting here. I think it was. Let me back up. Where was it? Anita says, Stephen, I just watched my first Ken's creation in the car. Oh my God. Okay. I don't want, excuse me as I swallow air. Jeez. I don't want to cut up or be negative about another YouTube creator. I watch Ken's creations all the time, but I'm watching them for the wrong reasons. I'm watching them to see how soon this poor guy is going to have a nervous breakdown. He already had one, if not several. He does say that he suffers from depression and he's on meds and things like that. But oh my God. I mean, I know I sometimes, when I'm talking in my vlog or we're talking here, I get a little bit sidetracked. He gets sidetracked all the time. He's impossible to follow. And I'm wondering now if people watch him more for the kind of sick entertainment, like watching somebody who has a problem, or if they're genuinely interested in what he has to say. And I don't know. But he and Sean, if you know Ken's Creations, his other half is Sean, they're getting married. Don't know when, but they got engaged on a cruise they were on or something and everything. So good luck to them. But yeah, I remember when I first started watching him, he was much more with it. Like he had a direction, he had a plan, he was showing you something, techniques, talking about products, things like that. Now it's just all over the place. He quit his job to make this his full-time job. I mean, good luck with that. Not an easy thing to do. I think he had a pretty decent job at a bank before. So I mean, a lot of guts, really, to give up a sure thing and go into this. Because I mean, let's face it, audiences are fickle on YouTube because there's just so much stuff out there. Some people they are making a living doing YouTube videos. We're not, obviously. But he's.
I think it's a big step to quit your job and do this
full
time, because a lot of the stuff is we're sort of just do it for the hell of it, or like doing it, but I can't imagine it becoming something that you are trying to make a living at, because then it's like anything. Like I talked to the lady at the sewing store that runs the sewing store, and I said, when you make your hobby your business, right, then it doesn't become fun anymore.
No.
And she sort of said, yeah, it's not really fun as much for her anymore.
No.
Type of thing.
Because there's responsibilities and things like that, and you have deadlines, and you have all kinds of, and then you got the financial worries and all that kind of stuff. But Anita says, I understand, I just didn't know what to think. Yeah, I know, and I wasn't saying anything negative to you, Anita, about those thoughts.
It's a little bit disturbing to watch. Sometimes.
Yeah, it actually is. I think that's what it is. It's like you're being a voyeur watching, although he's putting it out there, but you're watching somebody who definitely has some issues, some mental issues. Okay, that's like, let's call it. There's mental health there, and he's lucky he's got someone probably like Sean in his life, because quite frankly, I don't know anybody who would be willing to put up with that. You'd have to be have the patience of a saint and be very understanding and empathetic and the whole bit. Yeah, that wouldn't be me.
No, mine too. We only see one portion of whatever he broadcasts, how he is then. People are sometimes different
Well, he needs to be stroked a lot. And, and a lot of people do YouTube videos because they're looking for
attention.
attention. Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
I don't know. We're doing it because
You sucked me in.
Well, it's because it was fun. I kind of like
Yeah.
doing it. That's all that it
You're
is.
a teacher. You like attention.
I want you to pick a finger. This one is the one I suggest. Doesn't mean I still think you're
That's
number
the one that
though.
Shirley always uses to push her glasses.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, don't think she doesn't know what she's doing. Anyways, what are people saying? Yeah, Kathy says he was a branch manager. Yeah, he had a really decent job. Anita says, well, I do have a medical background anyway. It was a bit troubling. Well, yeah, so Anita, you would... Yeah, it is troubling. It is troubling. You're right. And then Andy says, I feel that every time the president is on TV. Yeah, well, if I had to choose between the two, I'll go with Ken any day. And he said, oh no, I didn't take it that way. He stated he had 1,000 people under him on the Chalk Couture. Yes, I know. Is that a pyramid scheme? Like, we were discussing that earlier today, actually, because we watched Ken from the car this morning, or I did at lunchtime for a bit. And yeah, he says there's 1,000 people underneath him. So I think that's his main income he's getting from...
It sounds like a pyramid.
Yeah, it sounds like a pyramid.
I don't know if that's legal. I know pyramids are not legal in Canada. I know that. I don't know if it's legal in the United States or not. So,
but that's the cruise that they were on too. Was part of the cruise was for Chalk Couture, and he was basically I guess, talking about the product or whatever, doing workshops with other people who, I don't know if all of these people that were on the cruise were all working under him or what. I don't know how much money he makes off something like that. Quite frankly, Chalk Couture, I'm surprised this lasted this long since he started talking about, because to me it's a one-off. How many blackboards does one need in their house? Like, yeah, they're kind of neat to look at, but once you've made one...
And, like, they're used frequently in restaurants and stuff like that for their menus, but... Yeah.
I know. Kathy says, I think so too. They're talking about Sean being able to quit his job soon too. Well, if you notice though, if you watch very carefully, and again, listen to the words and watch the body language, Ken's the one that talks about that. Sean just sort of
sits there.
Yeah, like he doesn't disagree, but you get the distinct feeling that he doesn't think that's going to happen. And he works as an administrator, I think, for something in medical. I don't know if it's in a hospital or something like that, or I think he might be a scheduler for things. I mean, he doesn't really talk about what he does too much, so it's stuff I've gathered over time, bits and pieces of information that slip out. Nairi says it's called multi-level marketing here in Australia. As long as you're selling a product, it's legal. Kathy says, I lost a lot of interest in both he and Melanie Lane when they started Chalk Couture. I liked his card making videos. Yeah, and he used to talk about different products, but he's all about Chalk Couture now and boring. And Melanie Lane, I stopped watching hers because I didn't need to see another stupid, let's get in my little golf cart and ride around the gated community here at sunset or sunrise or whatever. And the stuff she's making on Cricut, I mean, I love my Cricut. I mean, I do. But I'm going to tell you up front that unless you're into vinyl, then screw these videos, because everybody's doing vinyl cutting in Cricut. Again, like Chalk Couture, how many inspirational plaques do I need to make out of vinyl? Like Tanner Bell. He's either slapping something on a board or he's slapping something on a t-shirt. He was one too that has his own business, but he's very successful at his business. But, this fixation with let's cut out words in vinyl, I don't get it. Occasionally you might want to do something like that to put on something, but how much do you need? I'll tell you
Last
something.
time you cut out vinyl for me was
The
I had
numbers.
to replace the house numbers on
yeah.
the front of the house.
Well, I cut out some vinyl to put on one of my original tote bags that I called a bland bag for fun. And I was buying vinyl because Cricut was having great sales. I have more vinyl. I could paper the house in vinyl. I don't need any more. I don't buy any more. I love my Cricut. But Melody Lane, But she's one. She's extremely successful, and I think Ken aspires to her business model.
Yeah, actually,
But she's clever. She's very clever.
She's got a Patreon account, and she has a lot. She's bringing a lot of money in.
She is. She's doing very, very
If you
well.
look how many subscribers she has, and even if they only paid $1 a day or $1 a month or whatever
For Patreon.
for Patreon,
Yeah.
she would still be making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you know that there's people paying more than $1 a month.
Well, she's driving a Tesla.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, I don't know.
In
maybe
fact, the
cheaper in
house that
States.
she lives in the United States,
In Florida.
she even said in a couple of things, well, you people all paid
For this.
So,
Yeah. So she's clever, though. She's very clever. But I find her videos. I find anybody who does cricket videos, most of the products they're creating are, and I'm sorry if you're one of those kind of people that likes this kind of thing, but I find them juvenile. I'm not into cutesy characters. I'm not into little cards that have a cute little cartoon character on it. I don't have an orgasm every time they release a licensed cartridge set from Cricket that has more Disney on it or superheroes or whatever, comic things. That's probably great if you have small children or you have grandchildren. Yeah, sure, that's cute. I don't, so I don't care. I have Cricket Access. I pay $13.39 Canadian a month to have that. It gives me unlimited access to all their graphics. Am I getting my money's worth? Probably not, because I don't use it as much as I used to. But I'm very selective about the graphics I want to use, and I have very select purpose for those. And also now they don't sell cartridges anymore, and I have a ton of cartridges that I bought when I got my first Crickets back in the day. And yeah, but I keep the Cricket Access because it gives me access to their library of stuff. I don't have to buy those things. There are some you still have to buy, but they have 50,000 images or more. Maybe it's 500,000. I don't know. It's an astronomical number, so that's okay. But I'm not into juvenile. It just doesn't appeal to me. It's like rubber stamps too. Everybody loves these cute rubber stamps that have like little girl holding a posies and stuff like that. I like something that's got, like a vintage look or more art nouveau or art deco or that kind of stuff. Well, that's just my personal preference with it. So, Kathy says, or Anita says, yes, it's all a fad, but it won't last more than a few years. I'm surprised it's lasted this long, really. Kathy says she's under Ken for Chalk Couture. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's bought into it. But that's what I mean. She's a clever businesswoman. She saw an opportunity where she could make some more money, and more power to her. That's her livelihood. So, yeah, great. She's not sitting on her duff waiting for the cash to roll in. She's doing something about it to make it roll in. So, I think that's
well, actually, she
clever.
seems to be very organized.
Yeah, she does.
So.
She's very organized. Nairi says, techniques come and go. Just look at the alcohol Inc. resurgence. Yes. And he says, speaking of Patreon, watch James Burke's summary of his 3-month Patreon trial. Very honest summary. Oh, I have to look that up. Darlene Michon, who I reviewed on one of my vlogs one time, she's a nut job. But there's something about her that makes me watch her vlogs. And she's big into Patreon. Well, apparently Patreon now have changed their way of collecting funds. They were in the States, they've moved it to the UK, and some of the banks in the States are rejecting when a request for payment or something comes through for people because they don't recognize it the same. I don't know exactly, and she was a little upset because she's losing revenue because of that. And she's talked to Patreon. She read a whole long email from them explaining, well, we're doing this and that reason. It was a lot of it was bull on there. And I can't blame her for being a little ticked off at it because that's her livelihood too. I mean, she's a nut job. There's no two ways about it. And she admits she's a nut job. I mean, the woman only eats meat. She sits down, has dinner, and eats 3 pounds of bacon in a sitting, along with some hamburger.
I wonder if
something.
she actually does that, or she just.
Well, that's what she's saying. I don't know. She's also into making these videos that have to do with sound. What are they called? Something
Says like-
ACRMs or AMCR. I don't know. I think they're acoustic. It's supposed to relax you.
Yeah, those like.
You know, like the sound of the
Yeah.
ocean and things like that. But she
Yeah.
makes sounds using things like she'll get a nail file and spend an hour. Like,
How about nails on a chalkboard?
yeah, ooh. I was good at that when we had chalkboards in school because it never bothered me, but it bothered kids, and I used to put my hand in there and watch them. Oh, I just love watching them melt. But I'm a sadistic kind of bugger. Yeah, so this is James Burke. Okay, I'd be interested just to see. At one time, as you know, I don't know if you remember or not, for those of you that have been with us for a while, I talked about looking in, and I did look into Patreon. Actually, I did set up an account. I never activated it. And the reason being was, I really feel that if people are going to give you money, you have to give them something back that is worth the money. And I couldn't see myself doing that. That's a full-time job. So I don't do it. I mean, I don't need that money, really. I mean, I'm not wealthy, but yeah.
We can live on.
I can always sell my body out in the street if I need a little couple of dollars. You know, not a problem.
10 cents.
Who gave you the 10 cents? They all
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Whatever. Nairi says, love my scan and cut, use it all the time. Andy says, I bought a Cricut, haven't used it yet. Oh, come on. Andy, get off the pot. Get it out. Work with it. It is a great machine, especially if you bought the Cricut Maker. The other Cricuts are good too. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you get over that learning curve, I mean, I love my Cricut. It's my third one. So, you know, I've got a love for them. But the Scan and Cut, Nairi, I have one of those as well. I have one of the earlier models. Haven't used it in a long time, and actually I'm thinking of putting it up on, on the web on one of those sell sites and selling it, because next to a Cricut, I'll be honest, it's not as good as a Cricut. It's not. I'm sorry. It has the scanner built into it. Well, it depends on which one you got. The newest ones you can get, they're a little cheaper. They don't have a scanner in them anymore. And when I first got mine, it cost me $600 Canadian. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I had nothing to compare it to. Then when I got a Cricut, and Cricut has continued to improve, Scan and Cut has come out with various things that are kind of cool, but try and get your hands on them.
You can also do things like on the Cricut. Can't use. I haven't used it, so the Cricut, the Scan and Cut does, you can cut things around the
yeah, you
edges
can do that too.
like
And it's
that.
got the print and cut feature, which actually is their version of what the scanner is supposed to do in a Scan and Cut. But you use your own scanner, your own printer kind of a thing, but it can cut them out. And that works a lot better than the Scan and Cuts one does, unless on the newer models that has improved. You had to make sure you had really clear, solid images. Whereas with the Cricut, it uses a different technology on how it cuts around, and it's more reliable.
And isn't it also the mats are better?
Oh, the mats on the Cricut are 100 times better than the Scan and Cut mats were. Now, Scan and Cut have new mats for the new machines, and apparently you can't use your old mats with it. And they're supposed to be better, but I've been seeing some reviews on YouTube of it, and they're saying, no, they're not as good. And in fact, Ken, on Ken's Creations, and I thought this was ingenious, he has a Scan and Cut as well. What he does is when a mat wears out on a Scan and Cut, which they wear out pretty quick, or you cut through them pretty quick, he takes a old Cricut mat and glues it on top of the Scan and Cut mat, and he says it works beautifully. I haven't tried that yet because I don't use my Scan and Cut much, but yeah. So hopefully, Nairi, it'll work and do everything that you want it to do, and it'll work fine for you. And as I said, I have an older model, and I know they've made improvements and things. But as far as I'm concerned, money well spent on the Cricut Maker. I love my Cricut Maker over the Scan and Cut. It's just gathering dust now. Tracy says, I want a cheapo Cricut for cooking. They don't make that one anymore. Are you talking about the one they used to make that would cut cake, fondant icing? They stopped making that one years ago. There were a lot of problems with it. Well, think about it. It's got a blade going through gummy, thick icing. I mean, there's bound to be some problems with that. But they stopped making that. They had another machine too. That was I think it was the Image machine. And what it did, it had a printer built into it. And so it would do basically what now the print and cut in the Cricut Maker does. It would print out the images and then it would run them back through and it would cut them all out for you. Problem with that was they had a very specialized from HP ink cartridges, and they were very, very expensive to buy new ones, and they were very hard to get, and they got that off the market. Kathy says, love my Air 2, but I've had a Cricut for years. Yeah, and I have an Air 2 as well, and I loved it as well, but I've got 2 Cricuts. Walter bought me the Air 2 back a few years ago, and it's a great machine. I still like the Cricut Maker better because it's got a rotary blade. It'll cut fabric as well. Now, the Scan and Cut is supposed to cut fabric. I've never had any luck with it, although the new one now, they say you don't have to bond the fabric. You used to have to bond the fabric. You don't have to bond the fabric with the Cricut Maker because it's a rotary cutter. But the Scan and Cut still uses a blade. It's a specialized blade for cutting fabric, but I've watched some reviews on that, and it looks like it's kind of tedious, and it's not necessarily 100% that you're going to get. It's not 100% in the Cricut Maker either. If you have something that's a very sharp curve or a very small thing, it's not going to cut it very well. So every machine has its idiosyncrasies. You have to just, learn it. Pracy says yes, and sushi, nori sheets. But they don't make that one anymore, Pracy. I mean, the only way you could get one of those machines, I think, is you'd have to find it being sold by somebody or whatever, or liquidation or something, I think. Nairi says, I've never cut through my mat. I've got the CM350, it's wireless, and I bought it mainly for cutting scanned images. No more fussy cutting, but it does so much more. Oh, yeah, it'll emboss if you get the package for that. I bought a package for making your own rubber stamps with it. Cricut had one too, and I've used that, but not very often. It did rhinestone things. It would do a pattern and put these things in it. You put this sheet on it and lay it in. I've only used that about twice in my life. It worked okay. But again, it's hit and miss. They tell you it does all these things, but what they don't tell you is you're going to have to do a lot of tweaking. And in the process of doing the tweaking, you're going to spend a lot of money on materials that you've basically made mistakes all over. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's a horrible machine. Actually, the company's horrible. Brother is a horrible company, at least here in Canada. To try and get any response from them, to get help. The lady I used to work for in the scrapbooking store tried to get Scan and Cuts into her store. They wouldn't give them to her unless she became an authorized dealer of their sewing machines at the same time. Well, she was a scrapbook store. She didn't want sewing machines. And their customer service, at least anytime I had to deal with it,
yeah, and
sucked.
apparently Brother is really big in the United States. They have a lot of things that in the United States but then the Brother in Canada they can't get.
Yeah.
And even the sewing machines, the lady that runs the store that we go to that sells Shinomi sewing machines, she said that Brother sewing machines in Canada it's really difficult for them to get parts for it if something goes wrong.
And the ironic part about Brother, too, is that Brother has a headquarters in Canada, in Quebec. And you would think, well, then that, they're here in our country, we would get, better service, but no. So,
But Brother's been like that for a long time because years ago we had a Brother printer that was causing us problems.
Oh, it was a piece of crap. And when I say scrap, you know what I'm saying. I'm only having one glass of wine. One glass of wine.
Put the bottle over to the side.
Put your body over this side.
Yeah,
There.
well, I don't want to stick the bottle in front of everybody's
Okay,
face.
fine. I noticed that. Yeah. All right, fine. So, anyways, what are people saying here? It's getting time to cut up or to leave. Oh, Glenn's here. Hi, Glenn. I have a brand new Cricket Air 2 still sitting in the box. Not sure how to use it, so never opened it. I hate. We're frozen. What's happening?
Can we still hear people?
Okay,
still hear
can
us?
you guys hear us? See us?
They may become unfrozen at some point.
because we just froze. Nairi says people get in strife because they don't read the instructions, so that's true.
Yeah, I don't understand why people buy stuff and then they leave it in a box. Like, I mean, take it out and play with it.
Kathy says I can hear you, but you're frozen. Yeah, we see that here. So just be patient, people. It may do a reconnect here or something.
I don't know why it does
We
that.
don't know why that does it. That's the second time in about as many weeks that's happened to us. Yep, frozen, but you can hear us. Okay, we'll just keep talking. Maybe it'll lighten itself up here in just a
You
second.
don't have to see us.
Please do not adjust your set. We are experiencing temporary technical difficulties beyond our control. You are important to us, so we will be back on the air momentarily. We apologize for this inconvenience. That's it. We're just pretending we're statues. It's Trump's fault, Tracy says. Probably. Okay, is this thing going to lighten up or what?
Sometimes it takes a few minutes.
Yeah, I know it does, but come on. Unfreeze. You look like you're frozen from the Bewitched show. Rolling on the floor, laughing out loud, says Carol. Okay, so anyways, what were we talking about?
Crickets and...
Crickets now. Okay, so...
Actually, what's interesting is they also have in the world of sewing that Janome has what they call an artistic. We haven't looked into it. They call it the artistic cutter for fabrics.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But it uses a blade. It doesn't use a rotary
No.
cutter. And that's when the lady from the store said that when you said to her that the Cricut used
Yeah.
a rotary cutter, she was kind of amazed.
yeah,
About it.
amazed, I'm mystified by that. What color are Santa's gloves? Is it black? Huh? What color? Anita says, what color are Santa's gloves? Is it black? I don't understand what that means. Okay, this is not unfreezing here. And I'm afraid that's not going to make any difference. Okay, and Kathy says white. Red. Mel says red. No, maybe red. Or gray. All right, it's a lot of discussion about Santa's
Because I'm
gloves.
painting at the moment.
Okay, so, but comments are coming up on screen, but we're frozen.
Yeah, I
Our
don't know.
picture's frozen.
The camera froze. It's like, I wonder if it sort of like got into a buffer and it just doesn't, it
I don't
hasn't
know.
released it.
Well, sorry about the picture, people. But we were kind of overdue on our time here anyways.
Yeah.
So it's probably time for us to say goodnight. So there we are, Frozen. All right. Apparently they're bringing out Frozen 2 soon, too, come to think of it. Anyways, so Anita's painting, everybody's having... So I think this is a good time to sign off because what are we watching? Nothing new. On TV, at the movies, YouTube, nothing reading. You know what's cooking. And we talked about everything else. So, Kat's glad caught you. Have a good week. You too, Kathy, and everybody else, have a good week. Sorry about whatever this just did, but at least it's at the end, not at the beginning. So, anyways, we're going to sign off. And have a good one. My vlog's on tomorrow. And, yeah. And I might do an idiot quilter this week, too, sometime if I get a chance. Anyways, have a good one. Bye, everybody. Say goodbye, Walter.
Bye.